Sherry is the person in our community. She was a teacher of Mishnah period through Hebrew College, among other places.
No, but I'm saying they were sisters or?
No, they were children of the woman who passed away.
I see.
And I believe she was like 59.
Well, for me, that's a young woman.
Yeah.
What can I say? We take this personally. Okay. Hard to leave that.
Yeah.
But I'm asking anybody else dealing with this right now?
Okay. I know a few people in my community who have it. I know a very young guy who works as a doctor in the NHS who is in intensive care. Someone was telling me not that long ago about a 20-year-old guy, a new parent, new father, who is in intensive care. It just seems to be more people in London, particularly, which is probably not far off from where Italy was, maybe a week behind. I'm not entirely sure. Obviously, London has the most amount of beds and opens a special flu hospital every year. But the amount of people that I keep hearing about is growing. It's quite disturbing. And I just, from what I see, no one is really paying heed to government advice about avoiding and basically maintaining social distancing. I don't think Londoners are going to be able to do it, which is a bit worrying because they're just, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. The Bet Din incidentally just released a list of things they're much more lenient on for Pesach this year. I don't think it really goes far enough, but for them, it's a big move because I think the kosher shops in London are bad places to go. They're not properly managed. They're letting fewer and fewer people in, and they're providing gloves and wipes for the trolleys. But in terms of the shoppers themselves, are not really understanding what it means to go around the shop in a way that means everyone keeps a certain distance. So I'm really worried about what that means in the next 2 weeks.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for telling us. Okay, I want to say a couple of things. I'm sorry, is there someone else? I
No,
apologize.
that's very moving what Gary just said.
Look, so I have a couple of a practical question. Are there issues? You don't have to come up with anything, but are there issues you'd like me to address either now or in between or personally? If personally, then just write me. And I will respond.
I have a halachic question.
Yeah.
So our community, since we're at Cambridge, we've been trying to figure out how we can do this without meeting in person because we're not in London. And so what we did last week was we did a Zoom Kabbalat Shabbat, and we finished at like 6:39, and then let everyone do stuff on their own. And we're going to be doing a Rosh Chodesh davening through Zoom as well. And basically what that looked like on Friday night was one person leading davening in her apartment with one other person. And the questions are, what is that a quorum? What's a quorum?
Yeah. All these are big issues. These are big issues. Let me give you my bottom lines and some of that, and then maybe you'll write me, whoever, and tell me whether I'm supposed to give a share on this. Okay. I think that online in time
Mhm.
with relatively good microphones that davening is possible. Now, the best, of course, is that there's a minyan somewhere and people are mishatef, mitzaref. They add themselves to. However, I see, given the fact that everyone in the world now is doing meetings online, that if online's in time and there's not a serious lag, that I would support a minyan even when it's a minyan, even when people are an online minyan. An online minyan that is diverse people, different places, and that's where they are. I'd support that for davening in general, and also devarim shebekdusha. In fact, I'll say in terms of my own psak, this is for this period of time, because this period of time, I think people that are online are really there. They're really present. I know it's going to be like after this is all over and in a year from now when people just kind of like come in and come out, zoom in, zoom out. But I think if they're really present, I support personally, it's me, I support it 100%. Chacham Avadia is also doing that. He's actually having minyanim, so I support that.
I believe Eliezer Melamed.
And that's
I
in
believe
general.
Eliezer
Let me just
Melamed also said.
Sorry?
He said, I believe Rav Melamed from Tzor also came out.
Yeah,
with
yeah. So he's not from Tzor. Tzor's quoting him. I'm saying he's, like he's his own entity, so to speak. That's not against him or against Sohar, but I'm saying that. I think that seems to be present, and that seems to be possible. I think the necessity of people saying Kaddish is not something to trivialize. I spoke to a very fine Talmid Chacham who said to me, why Kaddish? How important is Kaddish to people? It's just sentimentality. Of course, both its parents are alive. It's just sentimentality. After all, it's not even as big a mitzvah as Charosas. Now, I know this guy. I knew his family. I said, tell me about your Bubba's Charosas, because I knew his Bubba for the South Side of Chicago. He said, my Bubba's Charosas. He talked for 8 minutes, and my daughter-in-law knows how to make that Charosas. I said, you're pretty good on sentimentality. It seems like sentimentality seems to be a real issue, a real virtue. So I think, okay, so anyway, I'm on my high horse, but I personally think that this is doable. I'm not giving a share on it right now, but I think it's doable. People are there, they're present, they have the kavana. It's a sorach. It's a need for the moment right now. I'm not saying it for 2 years from now, or half a year from now, or 4 months from now when everything is over. I have to rethink it in terms of how I hold, but I support it very, very strongly. Okay.
Do you feel comfortable being quoted?
Sure.
Okay.
The question is whether you feel comfortable quoting me. So, it's a joke. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. Happy to. The Mizaka people and mitzvahs, why not?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there anything else pressing right now? Okay. Fine, you can always.
I guess, would you extend that to someone doing a siyum on a seder of Mishnah for Tanit Bechorot, that other people who are online can be mitzvah with that for the Sudat mitzvah?
Absolutely, because that tanis is at most a minhag. Minhags are very kosher and very good, but that's why we don't have for any other tanis a notion of having a suda when we break the tanis or find some way around it. But I would say it's like really important. Maybe that'll be my semi-vort for right now. It means that when you do the siyum, you have to do the siyum with cognizance of how hard this is right now, but also with simcha. See, you only have a suda because you have simcha. And so And so, but be honest about it. Say, look, this is really a hard time. We were trying to snatch some simcha for a moment. I think you say that to people. It is honest, and I think. And here we say, who's talking about Reb Shlomo Zalman? Yeah, I actually heard this in a different circumstance from Reb Shlomo Zalman. That he said, yeah, you can be on a telephone. But when I heard from Reb Shlomo Zalman, he assumed that there was already a quorum. There was a minyan there. But I'm saying that it's clear. It's just clear that. Thank you for asking about that. That's a more or less simple question. Not so long ago, people were even asking whether or not the minhag still exists because there were so many places of was there still minhag not having to see him? Was there still minhag of fasting because nobody individually fasted? They were just dependent upon others. All right. Anything else? I'd be happy to have something else. Is there anything else?
Well, if I would really appreciate if you had time to give Shira on some of these topics, because I'm really thankful for your insights at the moment, and I'd love to hear some of your reasoning more in an in-depth session. I know that this is not the space, but if you've had time to run another Shira, I think a lot of people would appreciate that.
So the question is, how late can I do this? In other words, if I gave, it'll also be taped, I guess. What do you guys try to do? Let's say next Wednesday. Is that too late? Okay.
You mean on April 1st or something like that?
I'm an April 1st guy.
I think particularly if that next Wednesday share is geared towards Pesach, that would be incredibly helpful. On a personal level and figuring out everything that we're trying to coordinate here, that would be very helpful. This is Jeremy, by the way.
Okay, good. So, and yes, to all of you what you're doing right now. Okay, so
Okay.
I
love the idea. I personally can't be there Wednesday evening. I teach, but obviously I'll watch the video of it if somebody remembers to record. But I teach at 8 o'clock and at 10 o'clock on Wednesday.
Just send me restrictions when you rather would have it to all of you individually.
Send preferable times.
Send preferable times. I'm not going to remember anything right now. So send preferable times and send a couple which are the most important issues, and you'll be able to squeeze a chumrah or two out of it. Okay, as well. Okay, because we'll do it. We'll do it right. Okay, good. Now, thank you. And I'm devastated to hear about everything that I hear. I'm devastated to hear.
You're hooked to listening to the news.
Yeah, she also listens to the news too much.
You read it too much.
I have a Talmud who's a very fine Rav right now, who says to me that he found himself reading Holocaust things because at least he knows that the story ends at some point. So, I said, yeah, that sounds pretty bad to me. Okay, so this is what I want to talk, and I'm giving part of the shir tonight, and Rav Nachum is, I want to get to the place where Rav Nachum can do his part. He's going to speak about Kolach Yad, and I want to go to the Mechaber, and let's tell you why the tour still seems to me to be a good guy. So, Jeremy, since you mentioned your name, yourself, you introduced yourself. There's two people to say hello to. So let's see here. Let's see if they're here. Let's see. Hold a second. Andre, are you there? Well, he said he was there earlier. So Andre.
He's here.
He's here. So say hello to Andre.
I am. Do you hear me?
And
hi.
And I got somebody else. I got Barb. Are you there?
No.
She was
Hi.
there. I can't hear you.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Mimi.
now. What's your first? Mimi. Okay.
Mimi.
Welcome. Yeah, good. Welcome.
Thank you.
This is the rest of the gals and guys. Okay. Now, so read Aleph, and I'll tell you when to stop. Kol Kalim. We're in Shivchet. We're in Sif Aleph.
Sorry, this is for me?
That's for you, Jeremy. Yeah.
Okay, great. Kol HaKelim Netelim B'Shabbat Chutz Mimukzeh Machmat Chisaron Kis Kagon Sakin Shel Shchita O Shel Milah V'Azmal Shel Svarim V'Sakin Shel Sofrim Shemitakenim Ba HaKolmusim כיוון שמקפידים שלא לעשות בהם תשמיש אחר, אסור לטלטלו בשבת, ואפילו לצורך מקומו או לצורך גופו.
Stop. Okay, yeah, do 5 more lines. 5 more words. Okay,
ואפילו לצורך מקומו או לצורך גופו.
Yeah, so why is it usher? We're not talking about the biggest Easter from the various categories we talked about last week. Okay, Mukzeh Machmas Chisaron Kis, Mukzeh Machmas Malachto Easter, Mukzeh Machmas Malachto Laheter. I don't know if you say Mukzeh, but maybe you can't. Where else am I missing? There's another one. That's only 3. Is there a 4th one? Mukzeh. Excuse me?
The 4th Mukzeh is Itkatzai Leven Hashmashot, Itkatzai Lekula Yom.
Right. Thank you. That you did it earlier and all that. Okay, so we're talking about the major Mukzeh here, and just based on what you read, Jeremy, you know me, so you know what I want. Just based on what you read, why is this? Why do we call this Mukzeh? Why is this Mukzeh?
Because it's something that you're really careful not to use for anything else. It's really nice. You wouldn't have another purpose for it because you wouldn't want to damage it in any other way.
What's this thing about makpid, which is kind of sense you're worried about the. Give me again. Explain the word makpid. That you're makpid about it.
You're really careful with it. It's like
Give me an example that you're really careful.
The glass bowl that my mom got from her grandmother, which we only use.
Okay, I'm at your house. I've been to your house. You don't have a house. I've been to
I don't have a house. Yeah.
You don't have a house.
I don't have the glass bowl here.
Okay.
They would never give it to me.
So here's the proof. The vase is on the top shelf there.
Yeah.
I look at it. It's interesting. I go over and I take it off. And what do you say?
Whoa. We only use that for really nice flowers that we get.
This is what you say.
Or that's only for show.
Careful! Watch it. I don't care, but the Rebbitzin cares. I don't care, but if you try, don't. Careful, right?
I'm the Rebbitzin.
At which point I drop it. Okay, so fine. So that's makpid. Now let's go. Everyone go to the tour. Here's the tour. Tour Shin. I hope you have it. Shivchet Aleph. I know it's reversed, but you'll understand. And so now we go to the tour. And Jeremy, read the tour.
Yep, just get
Shivchet Aleph in the tour. Isaac, you have it?
Yes.
Okay, good. Noam, you have it? Mimi, you have it?
Yeah, I have.
Mimi, you have it? Don't know. Okay.
No, I don't. I don't have it. I was going to find it on Safaria. Or was it shared?
I don't know. Did we send it? Nothing. Did we send it?
We sent it. We sent it a while ago. It's there.
It was
okay.
Maybe in a more recent sending.
Siman 3082 intro. MB intro Aruch HaShulchan.
Okay. I think I missed that one. Oh, did someone just send it?
Yeah, I think it was 4 days ago.
Oh, excellent.
Does it start with a Mishnah Matnit? Oh, that's a Gemara apparently. Okay. I have a Gemara Rabbeinu. Oh, is it Ron maybe? That you sent out. Itmar met Hamutal Bechama. Okay, that's not the right thing.
The tour.
Sure. Let's find where you sent it.
Okay. Wait. Are you helping me or not helping us? I got confused here. Was that a help or not a help?
No, I was just trying to find the page.
You're finding the page. Okay, so we're not there yet. How do we get Mimi the page?
I think she found it because Josh sent
Yeah,
it.
I got it.
You got
Yeah,
okay.
thank
So okay. Jeremy, take your time and read.
I found
and
it.
tell me when things change.
Okay. Kol hakelim nitlin b'Shabbat, chutz mikelim shadam chas alehem, kagon sakin shel shchita u'mila v'shel svarim, tahava le ki'ilu haktzam, kevan shemakpid alehem, shelo yitaltalam, kedei shelo yipgamu, v'chen lo chiyotze b'zeh. So the only thing that I really notice as a big difference here is that you don't want to make them pugum.
Anybody else have seen any other? Thank you for that.
It uses really the word.
It says explicitly you're worried of making a pugum. No, thank you. That's important. What else?
It also uses the word chas instead of makpid.
Yeah,
I'm not sure whether there's a real difference between the two of them, but it uses the word from which the title of that mukzeh comes from.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Well, you guys are helping me out a lot. Is there anything else? How about this line? We have that in the Shulchan Aruch?
No, I do not. Fine, but
we don't have it in the Shulchan Aruch?
No.
No, so I think the Torah is actually very good. The Torah helped me out. Hey, you see what I'm saying? Asher, you got that? Yeah, you got that? Tahavale, because he's explaining what? He's explaining the dynamics. Tahavale ki ilu hikitzam. So first of all, I wonder what hikitzam is. Now we're getting into it. And what's ki'ilu? What does ki'ilu mean here?
I think because you never explicitly said this thing is something
Good.
I'm not.
You didn't explicitly said it. So you didn't explicitly say it. And what is hikitzam?
You said it. You have set it aside in your mind that you're not going to use it on Shabbos.
Well,
Isaac, where do you get in your mind from that? Or is ki'ilu your version?
Well, because the ki'ilu means that he didn't what you said, that he didn't do it bepeh, and therefore it has to be in his mind, I would assume.
Fair.
So says Isaac. Jeremy, you want to disagree with him or say something else?
I don't. I don't in general, and in this specific instance, to be honest, I'm struggling with like ki'ilu hikitzam, as if it. I don't have a better definition than Isaac's.
Can
I don't mind getting a better definition than Isaac. Who's talking?
It's Joel.
Joel, please.
We're going to see this in the Nosei Kaling, right? The whole question: if you put the knife in a bag, right? Does it? So I think it might be an action. Also, it might just be in your mind. It's like you put this away in a display case for Shabbos, or you put it away in a special place, right?
Okay, so wait. So there's two possibilities of how this whole thing could happen, right? You're introducing what? The notion of that you need a
action.
You need a ma'isa.
Yeah.
A ma'isa of mukzeh, a ma'isa of hikis, right? Okay, so that's what the Yashrut. I don't see that in the Torah. I see Isaac's closer in the Torah, and right. So what's the dynamic? So Isaac says this is the equivalent of. I still don't get it fully. Okay, we're closer. We'll get to the ma'isa. The ma'isa for sure would be helpful, but I don't see the need for it to be helpful. Here it seems to say the very fact that you're very careful about it, you're crazed about it. You don't want someone going up to the top shelf and bringing it down, right? And careful. You're really makpid about it. Careful, right? About it. What is that mukzeh what is that mukzeh? I know it's because chisor and kis, because it's valuable and you don't want to lose it. In this case, in Jeremy's case, it's sentimentality equals money. But let's say it's it's a really expensive vase, not just came from a grandmother. It's an expensive vase. So in fact, it's not even a vase. It's so expensive we call it a vase. It's like expensive. It's an expensive deal. So, but what? We're Hakitz. What does Hakitz is? Actually, now, what's the literal meaning of Hakitz?
To wake up, awaken.
Yeah. Is it Hakitz or Hikza?
Tell me Hikza.
Oh.
Tell me Hikza. You're probably right. What's Hikza?
Lehaktzot.
Yeah, lehaktzot is to set aside. Lehakitz is like to wake up or to annoy.
So maybe I'm glad to have you here. Okay? So right, to set aside. Right? You have set it aside. Machmas chisaron kis. And how does that affect? How does that affect Shabbos? I'm trying to understand. How does it affect Shabbos?
Well, it's like in the same way that you can designate something for Shabbos, you can designate something not for Shabbos. Like
okay. How about that? How about that thought? How about that thought? That thought's based on the assumption that it's an assumption then here. No, you gave a dynamic. Just as you can designate something for Shabbos, you can designate or ki'ilu you designate something should not be for Shabbos. So what's the assumption behind it?
Sorry, Rav Landis, real quickly, is it possible to see your video? It would just be easier for me to follow if I could see you.
See me?
I can see you.
Can you see me now?
I see Rav Landis.
I can see Rav Landis, but I can't see you. I can see Rav Landis, but not SR.
You can put the view in.
I cannot see Rav Landis.
I can see Rav Landis. I can see Rav Landis, but you can also put the view instead of grid view. You can put into speaker view, and then you see who's ever speaking. That might be useful.
Is that something I need to do or they need to do?
No, but when I put it in speaker view and Rav Landis is speaking, I only see his initials, but it sounds like that's a me problem and not an everybody problem.
Yeah, it's also a me problem, Shani. So we're in this together.
I think if you've turned off your video, then you also can't see the speaker's video.
Right. That doesn't seem to be the problem.
Like some people can see mine too. All right, no. I feel comfortable not wasting any more time on this.
Okay, back to this. What does it mean what's the assumption behind that just as you can designate something, just as you can designate something for Shabbos, as it were, you can designate something or imply that you designate, or maybe you need a Maisa, as Joel points out, to really show that it is, or hear the anxiety regarding this chisaron case, that you can't afford to lose it. But it assumes that not everything is acceptable on Shabbos. Seems to me, not everything is permissible. If you're making something because you're worried about it, of chisaron case, right, which is clearly a case of something you're not using on Shabbos. In other words, not talking about a challah knife that you like very much that's expensive, but you are going to use a challah knife. It is that kind of bowl that you're not using, right? And it's chisaron case. You're saying is not everything is open for me on Shabbos. Therefore, but that sounds funny.
Can I put
someone help me with this?
Wait,
someone help me with it? I'm trying to understand what Mukzeh is.
I want to try and sharpen it, maybe, and this may have to come down to Isaac and my machoket a little bit here too. Is it something that mina stam? Is everything initially asur to move on Shabbat? This kind of plays into that Gemara we saw last week, except for the things that you were going to use on Shabbat anyway. In other words, like everything is just asur, or is it that everything is mutar on Shabbat from stam, unless there is some another factor that goes to it?
Well, I think we actually, are we equating, this is Nachum speaking, are we equating Klish Malachto Isser and Klish Malachto Heter here? In other words,
I'm trying to keep it.
on
chisaron case if I could.
I know, but what is this kind of kli? The examples we had are all kinds of klis that you use for acts that are forbidden. None of them were a vase. None of them were something that is a
sakin shel milah.
Yeah, milah. I mean, milah. The Torah specifically permits it, but cutting flesh is forbidden on Shabbat. Cutting a human being. I understand it. And why I'm saying that is I'm saying maybe the answer to Joel's question can be divided up between Kli Shemalachto leHeter, Kli Shemalachto leIsser. In other words, all heter objects, like if you have very fancy wine glasses and you weren't planning on using them on Shabbat, and then a fancy guest comes and you decide to use them, since they were anyway heter dika kind of objects, they were never forbidden. And even though you weren't planning on using them, it didn't make them into being forbidden. And what we're talking about here is objects that have dual purposes, that have heter and isser purposes, and their main purpose is isser. And on those objects, we assume that they are mukzeh, unless otherwise.
But I hear you, but I'm worried about the fact that is makbid aleim shelo yitatelam kedei shelo yifkemu, and that's what I'm really worried about. And they're not saying because you're going to use it for an usser purpose. All of a sudden you're going to be be using it for.
The way I see that, wait a second, let me just answer that. Let me just answer. The way I see that is that you wouldn't a hammer you might use for cracking nuts because it wouldn't damage it, but you'd never pick up your DSL digital camera and use it to crack nuts because you're afraid it's going to get damaged.
But when you say that digital camera,
in other words, they're both objects that are Kli Shemalachto leIsser, but on one of them you don't care about it. You're not afraid it's going to be pagum, so therefore we let you. But on one of them we are afraid you might be pagum, and therefore we don't, and therefore you're not allowed to use it. Therefore it's mukzeh.
A category that I hear you, and I'm gonna for myself reject it or push back against it. I'm sorry for saying the word rejection. I don't see it because as you find in the poskim, they talk about what about sechara, merchandise that's in that you have in the store window, or you have merchandise. You have merchandise. You don't touch that merchandise, or you don't move that merchandise because the merchandise is mukzeh. And the merchandise can be clothes. The merchandise can be. And why aren't you? Because she's saron case. I want to say it's actually a blouse.
I think it's also mukzeh. It's mukzeh midato, but it's mukzeh because of your mind.
Well, now we're getting to the point. I want to say the following. Maybe I'll just get to my point now. I want to say the following. That mukzeh, I want to say it this way. That mukzeh, certainly for chisaron case, I'm going to say is not an issue as much of the chetzah being problematic, but that it's the gavra's attitude, the subjective attitude of the gavra, of the individual, the owner, to this object. It's not necessarily intrinsically usher, but and that's why, thank God, he has the Mila thing in here. It works for me. Or I'll say what I said regarding the clothing, the schora of a merchant is usher, because if you move it around, there'll be chisaron case. And what happens when he makes it mukzeh? He places it somewhere else. He places it outside the realm of regular Shabbos use, because we're worried about it. Actually, the schora example is a very good example, because we only use it for the things we need to use it for. Hey, that's for sales. Don't touch that. That's for sales. That's for merchandise. Or all these objects. Not that, in this case, not that we're worried of Malachto leIsser, because that becomes another category. You can still say that's a problem with some of these things, that it may fall under two categories. But the category of Malachto leIsser, of Chisoron case, look in the Tur Beis Yosef. Tur Beis Yosef Aleph. Except for the that people are worried about. And Perik Kol HaKelim, we did some of this. Okay, so Noam, read this. Tanan, Rabbi Yossi Omer.
Sorry, my bad. All right, Tanan.
Yeah, go.
Rabbi Yossi Omer, Kol HaKelim Nitalin B'Shabbat, Chutz Min HaMasar HaGadol V'Yater HaMachashira.
So remind us what those things are. Remind us what those things are.
So it's the saw and the peg for the plow. It's the thing that you bore into the ground to allow the plowing, easier plowing.
Now, if you would read the Mishnah and Gemara, you would think, you would think that maybe this is really introducing the category of Melachta Le'isur.
Right.
We don't saw on Shabbos. We don't plow on Shabbos. But no, it's there to introduce Chisaron Kis, who perished Rashi, and I didn't do Rashi with him when we did this, and I should have, who perished Rashi.
Perish Rashi Mishum de Kapir Alayhu. Umiached Lahem Makom Delav Chazul Mlacha Acharina. Dushpach
Acharina. Stop there.
Right,
what does Rashi say there? Mishum de Kapir Alayhu.
Because he's careful about it. He's worried about it.
He's obsessive about it. I'm moving it up a moment. He's obsessive about it. What's this? Miyachid Lahem Makom.
And he places them in a special place. He designates.
Well, it's not that he places it; he designates it, which I think is a big distinction. It's designated; it's not place, which I think is important for that.
Right, they put it away. Right, expensive things you put away. It's on a certain shelf. Right, it's on a certain shelf. It's on a certain rack. It's a certain place. Now here it is. Makom delo chazu melacha achrita. Now I want you to translate that. A place in which
that no other malacha will take place.
Okay, good. Right. Now wait a second. What type of malacha?
Any malacha, not necessarily any malacha, not necessarily permitted malacha, which aren't really malacha.
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent. I think we got it. Or at least I think now, at least this helps me. Right? This is a notion that a person decides that something, because it's worthwhile, or it's worth money. See, the worth money thing, I agree with you. It sounds like a HaTzad distinction, that it's worth money. But I think the real aspect here, and I'll try to prove it in a moment, the real aspect here, that he's makes it. He's makes it. And by being makes it, it's no longer in the realm of Shabbos use. And it's a totally subjective thing. Because it doesn't say here, the miyachel makom delo chazu melacha asura. It doesn't say. It says melacha acharita, and you properly said melacha acharita, including that of heter. But the perik misha hechshech amrinim shezen nikra mukzeh machas chisoron kis. But I'm saying that the Chisoron case is why he's worried about the object. He's worried about the object because of Chisoron case. But what makes it Mukzeh is him. According to Rashi and the way I think the Beis Yosef understands it. It's him who does it. He says, you know what? I'm worried about this. And therefore, his subjective worrying or placing it in a different place takes it out of Shabbos use. Because he's worried about it. There has to be a gorem for that, and the gorem for it, the kind of causative is he doesn't want to, Chisoron kis. But the Chisoron, I don't think the Chisoron kis is the mode of operation. The mode of operation is more on the gavra. He's making it. He places it somewhere else. He puts it into that makom jelo chazu b'lacha achrita. And I'm going to see if I can prove that anywhere else, because I think that's actually the whole thing. I think that's the whole thing. So where else do I have? I made marks on my on my business. Where did I have it here? Let me see where else. Well, yes, let's go to bet in the tour. Let's go to bet in the tour. Shani, are you there even though you can't see me?
Yep, I'm here.
Could you read in the tour bet?
Yes, but my tour doesn't have CE theme. So what words does it start with?
Oh, that's you have an old time. The Chaldavar.
V'kol davar.
Okay, let me.
Right where we stop. Right after it says, Kadesh lo yifagem. We can't call kiyotzi.
Maybe have someone else start, and when I found it, I'll let you know.
Okay, so Joel, you start and get prepared to be interrupted.
All right. V'chol davar shehu kli, afilu hu gadol v'chaved harbeh, lo nitbatel shem kli. Shem kli, I have kli twice here, kli mimenu. Lo imnei godlo v'lo imnei kovdo. So something that's really either heavy, really just something really big and heavy, right? It's still a kli, even though it's big and heavy, and therefore it falls under the Torah kli of Mukzeh. I think is
okay. So now, Joel, go to the Beis Yosef bet v'chol davar shehu kli.
Let me find it. V'chol davar shehu kli afilu gadol v'chaved v'chulei. Be'eruvin he Yashrut perush. So there's a thing called the shrita, which is a korah, is a big beam. The Havi be Rebbe Pedat, the Havi medalole la be asara, beshadula adasha, below amar lahu below mide. Okay, so he.
Okay, translate.
So Rebbe Pedat he would I think draw this thing out. It was be asara from the house of. House of something, I'm not sure what.
Basra in a group of 10?
It is a group of 10 people, you think? I don't know.
It
is, okay. And then he would throw it on the door, and they didn't say anything to him. So in other words,
it was against the door. It was a door. It was a door.
Door stop.
Door stop, as it were, barrier. Okay.
So he's in a group of 10 people, so he's got witnesses publicly potentially being Mechalel Shabbat, but they don't tell him that he's Mechalel Shabbat here, so he's not potentially. So.
And he's got a second case. Go on.
Am I wrong that the group of 10 is about how heavy the thing is, that you needed 10 people to drag it over there?
Right.
That was my first thought, but.
Why not? Oh, because you have all this other stuff you said? That's other stuff you said. But the main deal here is how could it not be Mukzeh if you're thinking about a Gavra thing? Why shouldn't that be Mukzeh? I mean, it's so heavy.
So heavy, yeah.
Right? It should be Mukzeh, but we say no, it's still a shame kli, because you know what it is? It's a door stop. Sometimes a door stop you can pick up with one hand, and sometimes it takes 10 people to you all have had doors in dorm rooms that never close. Yeah. You should have gotten a door stop like this. Okay?
So I think
That's all it is.
It's
a kli.
Carry.
Come on, translate and go on.
So okay, Amar Torat Kli Ale. He says it's a kli, and therefore it's not Mukzeh because it's a kli. As opposed to if it were like just a stone or a really heavy, really heavy stone, that would be Mukzeh because it's not a kli. So, okay. Hahi asita perush nachtesh dehave be Mar Shmuel dehave machzeka adariva shar Mar Shmuel lemishte adasha amar Torah Kli Ale. So it's the same thing. He's got like this heavy grinder.
A mortar. I know. There says in French, mortar.
Oh, yep. But it doesn't help. It's like last time. I don't know which one's the mortar and which one's the pestle. So it's like it doesn't help me.
It's the mortar. It's not a Danny K thing. It's a mortar.
Okay. All right. So and he throws it. Mar Shmuel throws it to the door on the door. It's a door stop, and he says it's a kli. So. Even though it's very heavy.
Keep on going. Come on, move it along.
Adriba, it's letach or letech and katvos. Katvum. So letech. I don't know what letech is, but Someone can help me out there.
Okay, who cares? Let's go on because we got the idea.
Harif Rosh, the Perak Kol Akilim. So the Rif and the Rosh keep these stories in when they're giving the halacha. V'chatav Rav Magid Perak Kafhei Sheikshu Mefarshim Midamrinam Besof Perak V'Mem Alikim Shenechlaku Rabba v'Rav Yosef Imutar Tatel Kaveret Bat Shlosha Kurim Ubevat Arba'ah Shavim LeIsur.
So we have a problem, right? They say you can't. What's a kaveret?
I don't. It's
a hive. A
hive. Thank you. Yeah.
You got this enormous hive. Okay.
So, but if it weighs it's a volume rather 3 core, it's permitted. So it's not actually about weight here. If it's 4, it's asur. So the Tosfot. So the Tosfot answered the question. They said the kaveret ain't darkala taltala. People don't usually carry around hives on Shabbat, just in general, probably, but especially on Shabbat.
I think the kaveret is a wicker
basket.
I understood the kaveret to be a form of a wicker type basket.
Oh, in the shape of a hive. I see. It's an enormous one. Okay, good. I take that. Okay. It's in the shape of a hive, but it's a wicker. Okay. Ain't there taltala?
Yeah. The choshi gdola kokach asur taltala b'Shabbat. Right. So therefore, if it's really big, you can't take it around on Shabbat.
Okay. So that's where it stops. Mm-hmm. And finally, you get to a kaveret, which is a full kaveret, full of whatever it's full of, is so heavy people don't, even a group don't walk around with it. Aval korah.
Vakora is over like a beam that we're talking about before. Darkanai taltala bechol sha'a liskur adel. This is something you normally. It's like to like barricade the door. You use this all the time. It's not a problem. Af b'Shabbat, even on Shabbat you'll use it. So af b'Shabbat metaltalinota. Even on Shabbat people will take it around. Ho'il v'yesh torat kli aleh. So therefore it follows under the laws of being a kli. Umidivrei alachot v'Rabbeinu shelo hiskaru klal had the perak b'madlikim, and the fact that none of these people, I mentioned the Rif and the Rosh, mention the issue from the Kaveret and B'Madikin from that parak. Nereli shehem sovrim shememrot elu ein lahem ikar, that those memrot are not really the main legal passages here.
Which memrot?
The ones about the Kaveret. About the
Kaveret. In other words, it's not worthwhile. We're just getting rid of it. And it's not the limit. There is no limit.
So, Rabba Rav Yosef, Rav Yosef, who shemachmirim b'tiltul ve'nelacha kemotam. It just happens to be this is sui generis to Rabba and Rav Yosef, who they're machmir about tiltul, but that's not the halacha. It's not like them. B'chein ikar, and that's the main law. Ad kan.
What are the most important words in this entire discussion?
Where was it? Oh, I gotta find it. I think it's main words. I think it's actually from the Torah itself. B'chol davar shu kli afilu gadol v'chaved.
Say the words again. What?
Is the Torah itself? B'chol davar shu kli afilu gadol v'chaved. Right.
Okay. And therefore, it's a kli. But what makes a kli mutter or usher?
Is that that would be should darko l'taltala b'Shabbat.
Darkon. In other words, defining what it is that it's a kli, fine. But whether or not the kli can be done is based on darkon. What does darkon mean?
So it's the custom of the world, the way of the world.
People do.
Yeah.
What people do. If people, let's go back to the kaveret, just that whole thing before we dismissed it, based on the kind of answer that we had. What made the kaveret asur?
Is people don't take them around.
Ein darkan to do this. What makes this delet mutar? Not delet. The korah for the delet mutar.
People use them to dark doors. Yeah.
And it's darkan. People do this. Who makes something mukzeh?
A person, the gavra, not the chefsa.
The gavra, not the chefsa. If people do this, they use it, then it's not chefsa. It's It's not chatzah by the basis, but it's so heavy. Yes, there's a shame kli that it's the derech of people to use. When it's not the derech of people to use. Let me give one or two quick things, and we can finish up, and I can be able to hand it over soon to Rav Nachum. Let's go to Gimel. Okay? Let's go to Gimel. So, let's see here. Let's see. Gimel.
I truly know where we are now, if that's useful.
Yeah, I stole Shani's place. So.
כלי שמלאכתו לאיסור יכול לטלטלו בין לצורך גופו, בין לצורך מקומו.
Okay, explain that. First of all, explain.
Okay, so something that like, the thing it does is malacha, like a pen. Okay? יכול לטלטלו, I can move that pen, even if it's לצורך גופו or לצורך מקומו. So say like I want to So I want to set the Shabbos table, and the pen is on the table. I can move it so that I can have the blank table. That's the Tzorach Mekomo. So Tzorach Gufo, I have an itch, and I want to scratch it, and I can take the pen and scratch my itch, as long as I'm using the backside, so I don't accidentally draw on myself.
Okay. Or one could say that the napkins are blowing up in the air. You want to put the pen on the napkins. Same thing as your itch, except that I gave the more ladylike example. Okay, let's keep on going, Shani, please.
Okay. לצורך גופו, כגון, קורנס של נפחים או של זהבים, לפצוע בו אגוזים, או, oh, sorry, it's a cordam, right? Is it cordam? Oh, no, this is, yeah, remind us. Or cordam, לחתוך בו דבלה. Okay, okay. So, for example, you've got a hammer, like a jewelry, a metal hammer, hammer metal. That would be asma shabbat. That's but you want to practice that, you can totally do that. Or like a really like a saw that normally would use.
And we're missing you now. Can't hear you.
Really?
Signal tour. Can't hear.
Right. How about now?
Yeah, we're fine.
Did you miss me at the saw for the fig cake?
Mm-hmm.
The kayotze with that, and things like that.
I lost Shani. Did anyone else lose Shani?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the meantime, Joel, take over. I'm sorry. Shani, when you get back, this is fine. Okay. Joel, take over where she left off.
Let's talk about Karnash on the Fachim, or Shadahim, the Tzabo Getzim, or Kodom, Lachtokbo, the Velave Chatzebo. So you have like a hammer, you're going to use it to crack, a special hammer, you're going to use it to crack nut. It's really a mallet. You wouldn't normally use this for nut cracking, I guess, use it for, blacksmithing. Or, a spade, you can use it to cut a fig cake and so forth on Shabbat. So that's the Tzorach Mekomo. Ben the Tzorach Mekomo, Tzorach Gufo, sorry. Ben the Tzorach Mekomo, kegon shetzarich lishtamesh b'makom she'akli munach sham. Because you need the place of the kli. You need to move it out of the way. Because you need that place. Like Shani said, you need to set the table. The plate needs to go there. The pen can't be there. So. Aval. Im eno tzarich lo legufo v'lo limkomo, ela sherotze lo tzio misham mipnei sheyaresh sheyeshaver, sham o yiganev misham, o afilim tzarich lo, v'hu davar shemakpid alav, shelo lasot bo ela mlachto, kegon kornas shel besamim, shechoshesh alav, shelo yitlachlech asur. So, but, for the following things, if you're afraid it's going to get damaged, or stolen, or even if you need it, but it's something that you makpid about, that was like sounds like chesron kisig, that you don't want to do any other malacha with it, like I guess this special mallet for grinding spices or beating spices. You don't want it to get dirty or ruined. Then you can't move it for any. You can't move it. So.
So this is where, maybe I shouldn't have gone here, but nonetheless, because it's about the Davar Shlach Tola Yisur, but as you sense, there's a connection here with Shemak Pidalav, gives us the connection to the prior, B'nei Chisaron Kis, and therefore, if you just want to save it, it's usher. Why would it be? Why would that be usher?
In other words, why would it be usher if it's already chesron?
No, if you want to save it.
Oh.
You just
Yeah.
You want a hotzio misham b'gnei. You're afraid that it's going to break wherever it is, or it's going to get bad sun, or wherever it is, or somebody's going to steal it. In that sense, he is not allowed to move it. Why isn't that a good reason to move it?
Because it's not helping Shabbos.
Yeah, it's outside your Shabbos space. I would even put it like your Shabbos thought space in some ways.
So for me, that's another example of the fact that basically this is a din not on the gavra, but on the not on the chetza, but on the gavra of how people have designated it. Now I'm going to finish this. There's a lot more pieces, but I want to say all the way through. I'm going to make the claim all the way through is that we're not talking, even when we talk about something big, and we're talking about things, if it's a derech to use it, what people normally use, then it's a kli that you can use. If it's something the person's makpid on, for whatever reason, and we're afraid that it's going to get ruined, then it's mukzeh. Why is it mukzeh? It's mukzeh because of the individual or of the group of people. They've made it mukzeh. Mukzeh is something that the rabbis instituted, not on the object, but on how people treat certain objects. And here's my final proof. Go to Mishnah Berurah. We didn't send you the Mishnah Berurah. But go to the Mishnah Berurah.
Reverend, just quick question.
Yeah.
Everything you just said, doesn't that sort of countermand what we were talking about earlier about Chisron Kis?
So I'm saying Chisaron Kis is the reason why a person's makpid. But the fact that they're makpid is what drives mukzeh. You could be makpid for all sorts of reasons, but the fact that you're makpid is on that. And I will say the whole thing of how you designate something will go all the way even to the most lowly thing. The last group is something which is mutter. Can you just carry it around stam? You're not going to use it. But since it's not on your radar to use it on Shabbos, you just can't carry around. And even the question in the postscript, you want to carry around a sefer? Is that mutter? You're not going to really use it. In other words, it has to enter into the other way it was said here, the way that I didn't prepare to say it that way, but it had to enter the Shabbos space, or it leaves the Shabbos space, or it certainly leaves the Shabbos space. Ki'ilu hikitzam, as if you did it b'peh. Some say maybe you need a ma'isa, but it's as if it enters that. And I'm going to prove it to you from the Mishnah Berurah. Agrees with me. So the Mishnah Berurah on Seif Aleph. And the Mishnah Berurah says Seif Aleph is based, let's just quote from do any of you have it? Can you find it? Mishnah Berurah on Seif Aleph, you got it. Isaac, you got it? Okay, what's that? Wait. Mimi, you have it, Mishnah Berurah? Someone give it to Mimi.
No, I don't.
You don't. So who's going to give it to Mimi? Someone tell her how to get it. Someone send it to her, please.
Thanks.
Okay, anybody sending it?
I will send it right now.
Can you send it by email?
Yeah, send it to everybody.
I just sent it in the chat.
Great, thank you.
Okay, whatever that means. I don't know what that means. Then. Okay. So wait a second. So wait a second here. I need Josh. Are you there? Or is he not here today? Josh, Josh.
I believe he is there. He is there.
Okay,
but he might be dealing with the baby. I will fall on the sword for him if need be.
Okay, wait.
Are you calling on me?
Rachel, are you still there? Rachel.
Hey. I'm here.
Now everybody's got babies. What is this thing?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but so go to the Shulchan Aruch, and where the Shulchan Aruch at the end of Aleph says, V'hu hadin. So I don't know what, someone tell us where that is. V'hu hadin l'kornas shel b'samim.
והוא הדין לקורנס של בשמים שמקפידים עליו שלא יתלכלך.
Okay, what's the Swedish translation? Again, the same halacha. What halacha? The halacha
of I'm sorry, I have to situate myself.
Right, so Asur b'tatel goes to the Besamim, what is it, Besamim hammer? What do we call it? The Besamim...
I think a mallet or like a grinder.
Okay. Shemakti up. Go ahead.
Shemakpidim alav shelo yitlachlech. Like you're very cautious about it.
You're makpid. That's the word I'm interested in. Look at Vav in the Mishnah Berurah.
Okay. Shemakpidim alav ve'im hu eino makpid lo have ledide mukzeh mechamat chesron kis. So if he's not makpid, then it's not mukzeh mechamat chesron kis.
That's it. That's it. For all of you expanded mind people, Mukzeh is all in the mind. It's subjective Judaism, except it has legal consequences.
Rav Landis?
Yes.
Could you maybe say, I guess what I'm wondering about is that if it is only in the mind, I mean, I go over to somebody's house, how do I know what is muktzah and what is not muktzah? Or how do I interact with things that don't belong to me?
Once it becomes law, then we have certain interests of that. Mistama, generally, this kind of thing is muktzah. Mistama, this kind of thing is muktzah. But actually, I want to take your question and turn it around. We should now say, is this muktzah for you? I've never asked that question in my life. People always ask me, Rabbi Landis, is it muktzah? I've never turned around and said, is this muktzah for you? I've never said that. The Mishnah Berurah, that little Jew who carried the world on his halachic world on his shoulders, says, I have a principle. I don't have to be frommer than the Chafetz Chaim, than the Mishnah Berurah. In fact, I have a principle that I should be as subjective as he is. How do you take these things? Okay. I think, by the way, more or less, no, I say more than less, this principle of Gavra versus Chetza is a major deal in our mastery of Mukzeh. That's the major deal. And that's enough for me right now. And there's plenty of places, but I think if you use or at least struggle with that concept, I think you're going to find it as a very good opening. Remember a very good opening. So we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to talk about Tiltul, and the person talking about Tiltul is Rav Nachum. So very good. See you in 5-6 minutes. Okay.
So explain your last comment again. What's Gavra?
Big thing in Brisk is the Isur and Isur Gavra, or is it Isur and Isur, or Isur and Mitzvah? For example, I'll take like Mitzvah. Who has on what is based the Mitzvah putting up a mezuzah? It's a chiyuv on who? On the bias. It's a chiyuv of the bias.
Of the house?
Of the house. The house must have.
I know, but it's the owner
Yeah,
of the
I know,
house.
but think about it. But, it's not like filling as individual. This is the bias. So it's really on the chepsa. The bias has to have that.
What's the chepsa?
Chepsa means object. Gavra is person or subject. So it's a subject or object. Therefore, it's a subjective or...
Gavra is the person, the goof.
Gavra means person. Gever.
Gever. Go ahead. So what? So
I'm saying is Mukzeh,
but it's not only subjective.
but Mukzeh. I'm saying something.
Scaffold.
I am saying something radical.
But you said like the scaffold or the quill to do the pen.
Yeah, but that's only because generally speaking, people are very worried because it's very precious and can easily be damaged. If a person, let's say a person had a quill factory, quill factory, or he made them by the dozens and he has them from, not necessarily makpid in any single one of them. He may be, maybe not. By the way, it takes a long time to kind of get into this language.
Your students are all worried.
Yeah.
Everyone's worried, and I think maybe you should tell them. I mean, are you going to let people do Seder on Zoom?
I know my next conversation.
I mean, what do you do? There's such a community religion. What do you do when you don't have a community? And how are people creating community? But everyone's worried. I mean, what Gary says is awful. What Gary said about London is awful. Do you need to use the restroom? I'm getting more tea. It's cold in here. Okay, so what's Reb Nachum teaching?
He's teaching on.
You want to give me your key so I can get back in?
He's teaching about different ways of what you can do, something that's really Mukzeh. Like how can you move it? Can you move the pillow so the change? No, here it is. No, it's there. Okay, wait, take out the I'll try to.
Get more tea. What?
If you we're a minute early, maybe, but you can take out a Gemara Shabbos. We're gonna need a Gemara Shabbos if you have.
Can you tell us where to look on Sefaria in case we don't have a Gemara Shabbos handy?
I imagine you just type in Shabbat in Talmud Bavli. But page number I can tell you. Page.
Yes.
Page is Kuf Mem Bet.
Okay.
Actually, this is a Mishnah, Kuf Mem Bet Amud Bet, that I did not actually send you guys out, but I realized that it's probably best to start here. So Kuf Mem Bet Amud Bet. There's a Mishnah.
And what number is that in English? Sorry.
142b.
Thank you very much.
It's chapter.
Oh, I got that. Vuma Fleek Palig Alea de Tanya Rabbi Yehuda.
No, Ha'evan. It's a Mishnah.
Oh, Ha'evan Shalpi HaChavit.
Yes.
Chavit Mate Al Sida V'hi nofelet hayta bet. Okay, great. I can read if you want, by the way. Thank you.
I'm waiting for Rabbi Landis to come back though.
And thank you for helping me find this place.
Sure. I'm happy.
I just got back. Where are we?
What?
I just came back on. Where are we?
We didn't do anything yet. But I'm just telling you, we're on page Kuf Mem Bet in the Gemara Shabbat Talmud Bavli. It's a Mishnah that actually did not, of all the things I sent you out a lot of things, and this is actually one that I don't think I sent out. But it's easy, it's a short Mishnah, and we'll take a look at it.
Sorry, could you repeat? Audio froze.
Yeah, we're in the Talmud Bavli Shabbat, Kuf Mem Bet, 142b. And there's a Mishnah on the page. And the Mishnah is about the Evan. It's mentioned by Tosfot, I think. But I realize it's probably good to look at it.
Can I volunteer to read?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Wait, somebody recording? Yeah, Ash is recording. Okay, go ahead.
Matnitin Evan sha'al ki hachavit mate al tzida v'hi nofelet hayta ben chaviyot.
Stop. Translate there.
The stone, presumably which is mukzeh, that is on top of a barrel, which is not mukzeh. You tilt the barrel on its side, and the stone falls.
Exactly.
And not a problem.
So what do we see here already? Oh, first of all, I wasn't planning on starting right away. Let me give just a moment of introduction. Now that Rabbi Landis gave us a definition of mukzeh and how we know when something is mukzeh or not, now we're faced with the dilemma of what if that mukzeh is getting in our way? How can we overcome that problem with, I would say, giving proper respect to the mukzeh, not ignoring the fact that it is mukzeh, and therefore remembering that it's Shabbat because of that respect that we're giving to this mukzeh. We're going to see, and here we see, quite relevant to our times, that we are touching elevator doors with our buttons with our elbows. Kalachar Yad is going to be a relevant concept today, and Kalachar Yad means literally with the back of the hand, but it could mean any kind of different way of manipulating some object. Josh, for you just came in, we're in Shabbat Kuf Mem Bet Amud Bet 142b, and.
So if the normal way that you open a door is with your knees, then on Shabbat, is it?
I don't know if normal goes by what you do or what the klal does.
Or in the days of Corona.
Okay, but let's continue. We're on page Kuf Mem Bet Amud Bet in Shabbat, the Mishnah. So you read about the Evan as on a barrel, and we said that you can tilt the barrel to get the Evan off. And that's moving the mukzeh, but you're not touching the mukzeh. You're just tilting the barrel and it comes off. Now he brings up. Now there's a second case. Wait, question?
Yeah, just because you connected it to what Rav Landis was talking about, but this is a different sort of mukzeh because these are not kelim, right? So if this were a kli that's leisul, then we wouldn't have a problem moving it with our hand in order to get to the barrel, because that's letzorach makom, right?
Yeah, very good point. This would be a hammer that's kli shmalakto le'isser. You could move it letzorach makomo. Shani read that to us, right? So you could, here it would be a classic case of makomo, but it's an eved. It's actually mukzeh machmat gufo, so therefore it's stricter. It's nothing to do with Shabbat. Maybe actually machmat gufo is not. Maybe Machmat Gufo has nothing to do with what you think about it, but what it is. If it's nothing that's useful for Shabbat, then it's sort of intrinsically mukzeh, and therefore you can't move it even for its place. So here you have to tilt it. And then the second case is
הייתה בין החוויות מגביה ומטה על צידה והיא נופלת. If the stone was
if
the barrel was among other barrels, and
so you can't tilt it. You can't tilt it because there's other barrels pressing up against it.
So you move the other barrels out of the way, and then you lift up the other barrel.
You lift up. No, actually, I think the opposite. I think you're lifting up the one barrel.
Okay.
And then you can tilt it.
Oh, it lifts up that barrel, and then you tilt it outside, and the stone falls.
Mm-hmm.
So you're actively like picking up the mukzeh through the barrel.
True.
As opposed to just causing the mukzeh to fall. You're like raising it, which feels like more of a mukzeh thing to do. But yet it's permissible.
You're having more of an impact on the mukzeh, but you're doing it indirectly still.
Right.
All right, continue. Finish the Mishnah.
Ma'ot sha'al hakar mina'er takar vehen noflot. Okay. Coins that are on a pillow, you shake out the pillow and the coins fall.
Right.
Hayta alav lishloshet mikan.
So lishleshet is like the droppings of birds.
Oh,
we actually saw this Mishnah when we talked about Libun. We discussed this idea. Go ahead.
So there were bird droppings, which presumably are mukzeh. You can wipe them off with a mekanchabet smartut. You can wipe them off with smartut, with a rag. Hayta shel or, if something was made of leather, you put.
If the cushion that we're talking about,
the cushion made of leather, you notnim alav mayim ad shetichla. You put water on the leather until the bird dung is cleaned off.
Very good. So we see that you can even move it here. It's interesting because this is dirty. Like, why can you move this bird droppings? You're directly doing it with this rag. You're not. I mean, that's not a mishuneh way of doing it. That's not an unusual way of doing it. That's pretty direct. I think that the explanation is we have this concept of like filth. Removing filth is permitted.
Graf shel re'i, right?
Right, graf shel re'i, exactly. So I think that would be the reason that in the graf shel re'i is the term they use in the Talmud, which means filth. Like if there's absolutely filth, then you're allowed to wipe it off. It's not called, you can say it's mukzeh. I don't need that filth. Well, you're allowed that. They're not. The rabbis did not prohibit that. Now look at the Gemara. We have like 2 lines in the Gemara that just. It's really tangential to our discussion today, but important for future discussion. So let's look at it as long as we're here.
Amar Rav Huna, Amar Rav, lo shanu ela b'shocheach aval b'maniach nasa basis l'devar asur. The Gemara says that Rav Huna says that Rav said that they did not teach it except in the case where somebody forgot. But when they placed it intentionally, it became the basis of a forbidden thing.
Right.
So the barrel,
what we're saying
the stone.
There's this concept of mukzeh called basis l'devar ha'asur, but that doesn't mean anything that's on top of something. What the basic concept means is that if I have mukzeh on top of a table, then the table is mukzeh because of the thing that's on top of it. But that's only if I intentionally put it there. If I was shocheach, if it just accidentally was there, or I didn't mean to leave it there, then it doesn't become a basis, the devar hasur. It doesn't become a basis. It doesn't become, the table does not become mukzeh if I forgot the computer on the table, then it's not. Then the table does not become a basis to the mukzeh, to the computer.
Does that mean, is that only if, so say it's like a desk that doubles as your Shabbos table, like, but you move the stuff off? Like, does the intentionality have to be that like you wanted the computer there over Shabbos, or that you wanted it there at one point because like that was its place?
That's a very excellent question. It's a complicated question. I mean, if you put if you left the computer there before Shabbat, presumably you didn't plan on moving Mukzeh on Shabbat, so presumably you left it there. You intended to leave it there. That's the way the halacha is going to look at it. That you left that computer there all Shabbat, because how are you going to move it? You're saying, what if I had a Gentile who was going to come in and I knew he was going to move it off, so I planned on him taking it off. So
or like your usual Shabbos routine is to take the computer off the table, but like you didn't get to it this week, or like.
So that's exactly my case. So that's exactly the case where it's not becoming a basis the Devar Mukzeh because you forgot it. If your normal routine is to take off the computers from the table and take off all the pens and pencils, and this Shabbat you had no time and you forgot about it and you ran to shul and then you came back and you realized it's all there, and you have a Gentile next door and he's going to take everything off for you. So yeah, your table is not Mukzeh. Because that's the classic case of forgot.
So that's what it means by forgot. Okay.
That's what I forgot. You didn't intend to leave it there. That's what. So this case of the stone that you can tilt off. See, they're bothered by two questions. One is, okay, first of all, the Mishnah takes it as a davar pashut, as obvious. The Gemara so far takes it as obvious that you can move the under thing in order to like what we call tiltul min HaTzad. Moving it from the side, you can move that rock. That's for sure okay. And the Gemara says, well, wait a second, but there's another problem here. The barrel became a pedestal for a Mukzeh object. And pedestals for Mukzeh objects are themselves Mukzeh, even if the object falls off. Even if it was, and then the Gemara says, no, but that's only if you really wanted it there. If it was there, but you didn't mean to have it there, it was by accident, you normally didn't want it there, somebody put it there by mistake, then it doesn't become. So there we're back to Rabbi Landis's idea that it's intention, that there is some intention here.
Can we read the Rashi there? Because I think it's
Joel, go ahead.
It's Ela b'shachach sheshachach ha'even aleha ben hashmashot v'lo midat, right? Which plays right into what Rav Landis was saying, right? You had no intention to leave it there,
right? That's so. In order to create basis the davar asur, you must have intention. Just like you have to have intention for what he talked about Mukzeh mechesron kis. Oh, you have to have intention. But as opposed to gufo, where that's an absolute, that's an intrinsic Mukzeh, like a rock. Okay, so that's a very important Gemara, and it seems like tiltul min HaTzad, moving something indirectly, is permitted. Now, I mean, we can all think of case. What's a case of tiltul min HaTzad? I mean, here's a great example. I mean, slightly different example, but here's a great example that comes up. I think you drive to synagogue before Shabbat, and you have your car keys, and you put your car keys in your tallis bag, and now you want to. So that way you can take your tallis bag home, and come back to shul for Mariv with your tallis bag, and then you have, your keys with you, let's say, for example. Does that might be tiltul min HaTzad, not kala achar yad. It's not a shinui. It's a normal way to carry something in a bag, but you're carrying something else. You're carrying, and it's coming along. It's tagging along with your tallis. Whether that's mutter or us, or we'll have to think about. But I'm just saying that's a case of possible tiltul min HaTzad. Okay, let's do more.
Might it be better?
I got everybody talking.
Just give us
there.
No, everyone else.
All right. Might it be better if you forgot it there? You came to shul, you put your keys in your tallis bag, and you forgot it, and then Motzi Shabbat you found it again.
Well, it's certainly better. Yeah, the best thing to do is leave your keys in the shul for sure.
Okay. So
but Rav Nachum, the case you were describing, he wasn't forgetting. He was intentionally bringing the keys with him. He didn't forget them home.
No, you drove. Well, it depends what you're.
Right. No,
I talked about
brought them with you, and you specifically put them into the tallis bag to bring them with you and have them there when you come back. We'll say Shabbat or for Mariv at the end of Shabbat. So that's not really forgetting.
No. That's not forgetting. No. This is a different concept. I'm not talking about. We finished the discussion of basis. Basis l'devar asur is only if you intentionally did it. But here we're not talking about. First of all, that's only at the beginning of Shabbat. If I put my keys in my talus bag before Shabbat, and I intended to keep them there, but you see that there's a lot of conditions. Sorry, we're not discussing the whole topic. There are a lot of conditions for basis the devar mukzeh. For example, if it's a basis for two things, one of which is more important than the other, and it's heter, then it doesn't become a basis. There's about 8 conditions for it to become basis the devar asur, and I don't want to go into them right now. But one of the most practical ones is it has to be solely a pedestal for that item. If I have my computer on my table and I also have my challah, 2 challahs on the table and my bottle of wine before Shabbat, then the table, even if I intended to leave the computer there all Shabbat, I can still move around the table with the computer on it. I don't even need to remove the computer at all. As long as at the time of Bein HaShmashot I had also a wine bottle on the table, then it's not becoming a basis the devar hasur.
So if I have a set if I have a set of keys and I need one to get into my apartment and another happens to be a car key, then does it matter if I just take the whole set of keys? And the purpose, let's say, is not because I want to use the car in Motzei Shabbat, but because I just don't want to lose the car key, and if I take it off on air, you'll lose it.
I do that all the time. I leave my car key on my keychain, and I use my whole circle of keys for my house key, and I bring it with me to shul in the air.
Okay, got it.
I would imagine that's more of a problem though if you also have the remote control thing for the car.
I don't I don't press that on Shabbat. And if it gets pressed it's irrelevant.
Isn't the classic example of this when you're lighting Shabbos candles and you put the wedding ring on the table so that you can then that's the same concept at play, right?
Yes. The classic case, although people don't do it so much, the classic case is having a candelabra on your table, and then you put on the table also the challah or a bottle of wine, and then you can move the table. All right, but I want to continue on in our discussion of Tiltul min HaTzad, really. Yeah, question.
Well, I had a question about how you define shachach. That you said something about if you run off to shul because you're running late, then you can come back later and move your computer. That seems to be very different than saying, oh, I forgot I needed to move it, or I forgot it was there, or I forgot I needed the table. I guess my question is how are you defining forgot?
You're right. Kind of lumped together a bunch of things. You're right. It could be that not having time to do something and therefore leaving it there, but not wanting it there, is not called forgetting. That's called you not intended it properly. Yeah, it's complicated. You might consider that. I mean, it's also not intending it to be there. It's sort of an in-between case. I don't want it there. I didn't intend it to be there, but on the other hand, I didn't forget to remove it. I just didn't remove it because I didn't have time. So it's an in-between case. I'm not sure how to view it. I'd have to think about it more. But I was sort of lumping it together with forgot.
Okay.
Okay, but let's go to the next. So let's go to the next Gemara because we have a couple of Gemaras to see. Kuf Mem Aleph, basically, we are going backwards in time in Gemaras. We started at the end, but actually this is the right order in my opinion. So go to Kuf Mem Aleph, and we are at the Mishnah. So actually, Rachel, you want to read the Mishnah there? We don't hear you.
Thank you. In Shorina ta.
Mem Aleph.
Oh, I'm on Kuf Mem Aleph. Hang on.
So is that 142A?
141A.
141A.
Got it. Okay. Hakash she'al gabei hamita lo yina'anu biyado ela mina'ano begufo. Avim haya ma'achal behema o shahaya alav kar o sadin mina'no biyado. So straw that's on top of a bed, you shouldn't shake it off by hand, but you can use your body to shift it over. And if it was straw that was animal food, or there was something on top of it, a pillow or a blanket on top of it, then you can smooth it with your hand or move it with your hand.
Let me explain. Let me just background. The beds in those days, they used straw. Now, if you made a bed out of straw, it's not mukzeh actually, because the straw is there for your bed. It's just your bed. You can move your bed. You can move your straw. You can move the straw around inside the bed. So if there's a sheet over it, it's clearly being used there for a bed. Furthermore, if the straw is there for animal food, if animal food is not mukzeh either, because I need to feed my animals, don't I? So what is this case? This case is that I have like a bed and I piled up on it straw, and Rashi says the straw is for hasaka, for, I believe Rashi says that, yeah, for burning. So it's mukzeh because you're not allowed to burn on Shabbat. So I actually basically just have a pile of straw on my bed, and I decided I want to sleep on it, but it's lumpy and I need to smooth it out. So the Mishnah is telling us here that you have to smooth it out with your shoulder or with your hip or something. You can't directly move it. Now this is different from the previous case because this is not touching something. It's not touching something else that's touching the straw. It's touching the straw with a different part of my body. Right? I'm pushing it in a different way. So this actually Rashi disagrees with me.
Yeah,
you look at Rashi.
Tiltul min HaTzad. Yeah.
Tiltul min HaTzad who. It's funny. Rashi, actually, we're going to see straight throughout that Rashi understands these two things as identical. But we're not going to, in the halacha, it's going to come out there slightly different. There's a very slight difference. But Rashi throughout equates them. In certain places, equates them. I noticed this. So here's again. Rashi calls it, in Rashi, aval minano begufo, he says, biketafav, with your shoulder. Tiltul min HaTzad hu, and that's tiltul min HaTzad. That's moving it with an unusual object, which is your shoulder. V'lo shmei tiltul hi, and delo shmei tiltul. That's not called tiltul, and therefore it's permitted because you're not allowed to do tiltul on mukzeh, but this would be permitted. Well, either way, we see that both are permitted. Both with your hand. Both with an unusual part of your body or with indirect by moving the item. Now let's go to the Gemara. Rachel, continue in the Gemara now.
Amar Rav Nachman, Hai Pugla Milmala Lamata, Share, Milamata Lamala Asir.
This is a radish. A radish.
Okay. So regarding a radish, from the bottom to the top, it's permitted. From the top to the bottom, it's permitted. From the bottom to the top, it's prohibited.
So let me just explain. What it means is that if you have the radish is, let's say, triangular, and so if you put it in the normal way, the top is wide, and if you have it in the ground, you filled. You put in the ground some radishes, not for planting purposes, but to keep them cool in the winter.
Oh, okay.
And so it's not a problem of ripping things out of the ground that are growing. It's not growing there. It's just stored there. But if you lift it up, well, then it's fine. But if you pull it up by its tail, it's covered with dirt. And when you lift it up by its tail, all the dirt's going to fall off. If you have it, if it's triangularly in like this, then you pull it up, nothing happens. It's like pulling a hair out of milk. But if it's upside down, when you pull it up, the dirt that's on the top here will come off and fall to the sides. So that is a classic case of the dirt is mukzeh, and it's tiltul min HaTzad. I'm not trying to move the dirt; it's just coming along for the ride as I lift up that radish. So Rav Nachman says you will only do it the way that's not going to cause the dirt to spill. And look at Rashi. If you look at Rashi, it's a long Rashi, but I just explained that Rashi. So if you skip to the last 2 lines of that Rashi, it starts for afal gav. It's like the last 8 words of the first Rashi on the Gemara.
The afal gav the tiltul min HaTzad hu shmei tiltul ve'asor. So even though this is tiltul min HaTzad, it's still tiltul and it's asar.
Right. But afal gav the tiltul min HaTzad hu shmei tiltul ve'asor. It's still going to be, it's asar even though you're doing it in a tiltul min HaTzad, right? Says Rav Nachman. That's Rav Nachman's opinion. So he's disagreeing with the Mishnah, it seems like. So continue on in the Gemara.
Amar Rav Ada bar Abba, Amri be Rav Tanina, Dela Karav Nachman, Hakash Sha'al Gabe Hamita, Lo Yina'anu Biado, Aval Mina'ano Begufo. Ve'im haya ma'acha behema, o shehaya alav kar o sadin, Mina'ano Biado. Shemamina, tiltul min HaTzad, tiltul min HaTzad, lo shmei, tiltul min HaTzad, lo shmei, tiltul, shmamina.
Right. So it basically brings the Mishnah, which says the opposite, that it's not called tiltul, and it's mutter. So Rav Nachman seems to be arguing on a Mishnah that can't be. Well, basically, we're rejecting Rav Nachman here. Sounds like. Basically that's what the Gemara is doing. Right? We're saying, Shema Mina, that's it. We've rejected him. Okay. So we're nailing the nails in. The halacha is going to be, or that it seems to be tiltul min HaTzad is permitted. True. Let's go to the third Gemara. Kuf Kaf Gimel.
What page is that in Numbers?
123.
And Aleph or Bet?
Aleph.
Thank you. About 123 Aleph.
So, so here, let me read. I'll read a little bit here. It says it's a 2 dots and it says Tana Rabbanan. Everyone sees that?
Not yet. About how far down?
Almost a little, about a third, a little bit more than a third. And there's 2 dots. Paga. So Tana Rabbanan, Paga, which is Rashi tells us is a fig that is not ripe. And I guess he put it in Shetamna B'Teven. You put it into hay in order to maybe to heat it up in the process of being in the teven. V'charara shetamna b'gachalim, and a bread that is in the coals. Im migule miktzata mutar l'taltala ve'im lav asur l'taltala. So if you can see the edge of this fig or the bread, then you can pull it out, because you're just pulling out what is you're just pulling out, and the other stuff is like falling down. In other words, you pull out from the straw, and the straw is sitting there, and it just falls down. So it's even less. Rashi says, if you look at Rashi, he says "Ve'im migule miktzata" on Rashi, the Rashi on that we just read. "Im migule miktzata." He says, "She'achol achoza b'makom hamigule." You can grab it at the exposed part. Afilu tiltul min hatzad leka. This is not even called tiltul min hatzad. Why? She'ein tzarich lagbiya hateven, because you're not actually moving the teven. Ela magbiya makom hamigule, v'hateven nishmat v'nofel. You're just pulling out the part that is exposed. You're pulling out the bread, and the teven, when you remove it, falls. It's released and it falls. Now, why isn't that called moving the teven? Why is Rashi saying that that's not even called tiltul mitzad? It's even lighter. It's not even called moving it. Why not?
Because it may or may not move, and you don't care if it moves. You just want the thing that's buried.
Okay. Right. Yeah. It may or may not. In other words, the straw may hold in its place, or gravity is doing it, and you're not doing it. So Rashi says that this is not called tiltul min hatzad. Fine, but
it sounds a bit analogous to davar she'eino mitkaven in psik reisha. Just in the Rabbanan world.
But maybe there could be another explanation. It's not necessarily psik reisha. Maybe it's for sure going to happen, but sorry. I mean, maybe it is a psik reisha. It's for sure going to happen, but you don't want it. You're saying maybe it's like a grama also. Like gravity had to come in and do its part. You just pulled this thing out, and then it fell. You didn't move it from its place. You didn't actually cause it to move. What caused it to move was the fact that it's like my father used to say that falling out of a 10-story building is not is not dangerous. It's just that last inch that's dangerous. The fall won't kill you. It's just that last inch. So you're just pulling this out, and then you're just letting nature take its course. You're just pulling that out. So it's kind of like a grum, I think. Rabbi Eliezer ben Tadai Omer, I'm back to the Gemara, Toch vin bekosh o bekirkar, you can use like a spear, vehen minarot melehen, and then you can even if it's covered, you could spear it and then pull it out, and coals might move, and that's also permitted. Amar Rav Nachman halacha k'Rabbi Elazar ben Tadai. He says, yeah, in fact, that's the halacha. You could spear it, even though that is going to be moving it. That is going to. The Gemara says, "L'meimer desava Rav Nachman tiltul min hatzad lo shmei tiltul." So you're telling me that he permits tiltul min hatzad? And then the Gemara says, "V'hamar Rav Nachman hai pugla." That Gemara that we just learned about the upside down radish or turnip. He says tiltul min hatzad is usher. So how come here he's saying it's mutter? And the Gemara answers, I'm skipping now. Hadar, the last 5 words. Hadar be Rav Nachman Mahi. Rav Nachman changed his mind. So actually, that Gemara that we saw, where Rav Nachman was proven wrong, well, maybe that's why he changed his mind. But either way, Rav Nachman changed his mind and agrees with the Mishnah and agrees that tiltul min hatzad is permitted. So now let's go to Mem Gimel. After we've had that,
what number is Mem Gimel?
43.
43A?
Yeah. No, B. Sorry, B. 43B. 43B. And this is actually a little bit of a harder Gemara, in my opinion, but Where should we start? Itmar. Itmar on page 43b. It's like 3/4 of the way down. Yavni, you want to read? Are you there?
Sure. My connection isn't great, but we can try.
Where?
You said Mem Gimel Amud Bet?
Men Gimel Amud Bet, and it's like the first word on the line is the Nimset. It's about 3/4 of the way down.
It is exactly 9 lines above the broad lines.
Yeah. Itmar מת המוטל בחמה, רב יהודה אמר שמואל, הופכו ממיטה למיטה. So if you have a dead body that's in the sun, Rav Yehuda says that Shmuel says that you should, in order to move it, you should flip it from bed to bed. Rav Chanina bar Shalmei.
Now, wait a second. Wait, before you go on, why is that permitted?
So it won't spoil.
What?
So it won't spoil.
Yeah, no, that's your goal. But why isn't it mukzeh? Why can't you do it directly?
You can't do it directly because it's mukzeh and because it would be doing it for its sake to save the dead body, which is what's the problem, right?
Okay. So what are you accomplishing by putting it from bed to bed? Is that Tiltul min HaTzad? Is my question.
That would be my guess. Is that it's like a Rishinui min HaTzad type of thing, or it's like the chabit then that you're tipping it over, but you don't actually like dump it on the ground, and it won't get it far enough. So that's why you have to find a way to tip it from something to something else. So you tip it from bed to bed to bed.
Okay, so you're saying it's
how does kavod hamet not override the fear of possible mukzeh here? This concept of flipping a corpse from bed to bed, it's almost like a Keystone Cops movie, but it's not. I would think the fact that we're allowed to bury the dead on Shabbat, the kavod hamet should say you just pick up the body and you move it.
And if you're already picking up the bed to dump it, can't you just take the bed and put it wherever you want it to go? And leave the corpse on it?
Oh, no, that's the question. That's the question. Why not just say, first of all, is the bed mukzeh because of being a pedestal? Being a pedestal for a devar that's mukzeh. So we have to say, no, it isn't, because he died on Shabbat. And the only way you can create a pedestal that's forbidden is if it was there at Knesset Shabbat the whole time, from the beginning to the end of Knesset Shabbat. And he obviously died on Shabbat, so it's not a pedestal that's forbidden. So yeah, why not just lift up the bed and take the whole thing out, and that would be for sure the first case that we learned of, like, wait a second, that would be like, did we learn a case like that? Did we learn a case that you could lift up something?
In the Mishnah with the chavit that was between other barrels.
Excellent. Yeah, good. So we did learn a case that you could like lift it, but then it said tilted, because that's the only way you can get it off.
Second case of it.
So what are we saying here? So this is tiltul min HaTzad, and why shouldn't you just be allowed to lift up the bed and take it out?
Unless the barrel case is maybe telling us something that mukzeh works horizontally, but not, or it's not horizontally but not vertically, kind of.
That's actually similar to the idea of the straw pulling out the bread, where we saw that it was just vertical drop, except that there we ended up rejecting that opinion. I mean, we ended up rejecting that and saying, no, you could pull it out even with a spear. So we didn't come with that chumrah in the end over there. So that's why I say it's a little bit difficult Gemara. I'm not exactly like, what exactly is the problem of just taking the bed out? It should be permitted. Well, we'll see. Actually, this Gemara is going to have a different opinion from all the other Gemaras we saw. So, go ahead. Where were we? Right. Go ahead.
Yep, should I go on?
Yes.
Rav Chanina bar Shalmi mishmei derav amar meniach alav kikar o tinok umetaltelo. So he puts on the dead body, is that a loaf of bread or some like object like that, or a child, and then he's allowed to carry it.
So it's like you have to carry it, like it makes it look like you're carrying it for the bread. You really just take the bread outside. In other words, wait a second. So he said, why did he say this? Did he say this instead of the previous one, or is it that you just don't have two beds?
Unclear.
Unclear.
I mean, it could be unrelated. He could not be responding to that statement at all. It could be two separate statements about the same case or a similar case.
Right. It could be just a different solution. Right. It could be that they have two different statements. One said do it like this, and one said do it like that. And they're both just trying to come up with a way to move this body, but neither of them seems to want you to just pick up the bed and take the bed out.
Or pick up the body.
Or certainly to pick up the body, right? Just pick up the body. After all, it's just Mukzeh. Okay, so go on.
So that's in the case where there is a loaf or a child.
The Gemara is actually asking my question. He's actually asking, well, wait a second. Is this second opinion talking about the first opinion, or is it where there is no beds or where there isn't any beds? So right. I think that's what. Go on. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Kule alma lo plige deshare. So everyone agrees that when there is a kikar or tinok that you're allowed to. Ki plige delitle. Mar savar tiltul min HaTzad shmei tiltul. Umar savar lo shmei tiltul. So rather, they're disagreeing about the case when there is no kikar or tinok, and one says that tiltul.
Who's arguing?
First of all, bed flipping, maybe.
Right, exactly. Which one? So Mar Savar, in other words, wait, they're both arguing, but Rav Chanina said that you should put. Right, Mishmei Rav Amar Maniach Alav Kikar. So if there's no Kikar, who's arguing?
I think.
Can anybody help me out?
Yeah, I think Rav Chanina thinks the only way you can do it is if you have a child or a loaf of bread. At least the way the Gemara is playing him out here. And versus who was the first opinion? I can't remember. With the from the Mitah to Mitah with Rabbi Yehuda. Yeah, that one thinks that okay, if you have the key card, great. If you don't, then you just do the bed flipping procedure. So,
right. Okay, so he says use the beds if you don't have a key card, and the second opinion says no, only if you have a tinok can you do it. So when we say Mar Savar Tiltul min HaTzad is mutar. That's the first opinion. That's Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel. Agreed?
No, that's
Tiltul min HaTzad. So we're defining it as Tiltul min HaTzad now, for sure. And somehow carrying him out on the bed would not be Tiltul min HaTzad, but flipping him would be Tiltul min HaTzad.
No, but I think that Masavar Tiltul min HaTzad Shmei Tiltul means that you can't. So that should be the second opinion, right?
It's forbidden. Yeah, I said it in maybe the backwards order. Marsavar tiltul min HaTzad shmei tiltul, and therefore it's aser. Marsavar lo shmei tiltul, and therefore it's mutter. And who is that? That's Rav Yehuda Amar. That's like Joel said. Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel.
Right.
So that makes sense. And now the Gemara goes on. V'lema ketanai.
Lema ketanai. So we're let's say it's a machloket tanaim, yeah. Ein matzilin et hamet mipnei hadlika. So now we're bringing another Mishnah or Baraita that we're not that you don't save a dead body from a flame, from a fire. Amar Rabbi Yehuda ben Lakish Shamati shematzilin et hamet mipnei dleka. So there's another opinion that you do save the met from the dead body from the fire. Hechi dame id ika kikar or tinok. This is similar if it's the case that you have
the case?
Right, sorry, what's the case? If it's when you do have a kikar tinot, or if you do have a loaf for a child, my tama de tanakama. What's the reason for the tanakama that says you're not allowed to save it from the fire?
Right, you have a baby, save it.
Have a loaf for a child, my tama de Rabbi Yehuda ben Lakish. How can he justify saying that you do save the dead body? Ela lav betiltul min HaTzad plige. Rather, they don't. Ela lav. Rather, that's not it. It's not about. It's they're not disagreeing about that. Betiltul min HaTzad plige. Demar savar tiltul min HaTzad shame tiltul. V'mar savar lo shame tiltul lo shame tiltul. Rather, you must say that it's that they're disagreeing about whether Tiltul min HaTzad is considered Tiltul. And Rabbi Yehuda ben Lakish says that it's not considered Tiltul, and Tanakama says that it is considered Tiltul, and therefore is forbidden. But then reject that.
Isn't that the argument in our Mishnah? Isn't that the same argument that when we said Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel permitted, wasn't he holding that Tiltul min HaTzad is not Shmei Tiltul? And the second opinion, Rav Chanina bar Shalmaya Mishmei de Rav, who held that it is Tiltul, and therefore you must have a Tinok. So we have so it seems like it's a Tanaitic argument that these Amarayim are having, which of course is against the rules of the Gemara. Can't have that. So the Gemara answers. Let me read here. Lo the kule alma tiltul min HaTzad shmei tiltul. No, everybody actually agrees that tiltul min HaTzad is forbidden. V'hainu timer the Rabbi Yehuda ben Lakish. And so why does he permit? Dimitosha adam bahul al metov. Since a man is nervous that this corpse is going to get on fire. Ilo shariat le, if we don't permit him to carry it somehow by, let's say, turning the beds from one to the other. Ati likabuya, he might come and turn off the fire. And then the Gemara goes on, right? He might come out to put off the fire. So rather than he does a Isser D'Oraita, let's have him do an Isser of Mukzeh, moving some Mukzeh. Amar Rabbi Yehuda ben Shila, Amar Rabbi Asi, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Hilchatok Rabbi Yehuda ben Lakish ben Meit. The halacha is that you could, in fact, move him. So this Gemara contradicts the other Gemaras, because this Gemara paskins at the end that Kule alma tiltul min HaTzad shmei tiltul. And we just saw 3 Gemaras that said not like that. So Tosfos on this argues, and that's what I sent you guys. And we're finished for today, according to the time. Basically, did anyone who saw the Tosfos or saw any of the other Rishonim, can they give me an explanation of what, just outside, what Tosfos' opinion?
I think.
You go ahead.
I think they argue that the statement that Tiltul min HaTzad shmei Tiltul, the Tiltul min HaTzad is considered Tiltul, is specifically for the case of a dead body because there's no way to argue that you're doing it for the sake of something else because a dead body is so important. You couldn't possibly be. It's not like something right. Where you're carrying the keys with the talit. You could say it's for the talit, not the keys.
Right. It goes by ikar and tafel. When you're taking out the radish, clearly the ikar is the radish that you want. When you're taking out the bread from the fire, or the fig from the straw, you clearly want the fig. That's the main thing. And if some of the straw moves, that's not that's not important. And Tosfos uses the lashon ikar. What is the ikar? Two things are moving, but one is the ikar. And we go by the ikar has to be the thing. So in the language of Tosfot, the thing that the ikar has to be the thing that is mutter, the thing that you want that is mutar. The Rif says almost the exact same thing, but he says it slightly differently. And I have to think about it a little bit. What he's saying is that what he says is that since the other cases are food that you need to have on Shabbat, that's why you're allowed to do it. The thing, the tzorach Shabbat, their needs of Shabbat, and you could say, well, aren't those the same thing? How could they be? How could it be that one is the mutter thing, but it not be a tzorach of Shabbat? In other words, are Tosfos and the Rif arguing? So I thought of a case where they're arguing. Tosfos says that it has to be a need of Shabbat. Sorry, it has to be that the ikar thing is heter. So what about if I'm walking along the street and I find a cardboard box full of books and all full of books that someone's throwing away, and also in the box is a cigarette lighter. Yeah, or something like that. So can I pick up the whole box and bring it home so I can have those books? Now I'm not planning on reading those books on Shabbat. It's not tzorech Shabbat, but the ikar movement that I'm doing is for the mutter thing, for those books. So according to Tosfot, I'd be allowed, because the thing that I want is mutter, the books. And the fact there's a cigarette lighter there is incidental. But according to the Rif, it would be asur. The Rif says, no, it has to be something that is a tzorech of Shabbat. It has to be that you don't have a sitter and you need to daven, and in that box it was a sitter and you needed it. Then you could do it. But in a normal case, you couldn't do it, even though it's a mutter thing. It doesn't matter that it's a mutter thing. It matters that the thing that I want is an actual tzorech of Shabbat. So I don't have the. Did anybody notice how the Shmirat Shabbat says it? Just a second. Well, anyway, the Shmir Shabbat basically all the poskim like Tosfot. I was just trying to find it there. That it doesn't have to be a tzorech of Shabbat. It's just enough that the ikar thing is something that is mutar. So therefore, you would be allowed to take those books. I wanted to see some other interesting things in the Shulchan Aruch, but I think we'll stop there. So I'll give you another classic case just quickly. For example, you're allowed to, let's say you see a coin on the street and you want to keep it. So you're allowed to move it with your foot into the corner and come back after Shabbat and get it. Well, because, and this is what I was talking about, the distinction between klachar yad and min HaTzad. That's called klachar yad. If I push it with my foot instead of picking it up with my hand, that's a klachar yad, and therefore it's permitted even though I'm not moving anything else. In other words, I just want to move that thing. That's like the straw. That's like the straw on the bed that I'm moving. Even though it's Mukzeh, I'm moving it. Well, there it's even I need it on Shabbat. Here I don't even need it on Shabbat. But that's mutter. But what would not be permitted would be to come along and, let's say, take a book and open up the book and open and expose the cover of the book and slip it under the coin and then close the book closed and then carry the book away. That would be min HaTzad, not klachar yad. It would be min HaTzad. I'm carrying it with the book. That's forbidden. So there's a difference. But what about a different case? I have in my Shabbat, on Shabbat, I want to read, I'm only, sorry, in that case, why is that forbidden? I'm only bringing home the book, the book is incidental to the coin. I really want the coin home. What about the opposite case? I'm reading a Chumash, and I went out to pick up, you give me a frown, but I went out to the street with my book in order to pick up that coin. And I slipped it under and I brought it home. So the book is just is incidental to the coin. I'm just using it as a way to get the coin home. So that's forbidden. But what about if I'm carrying if I open up my chumash and I'm carrying it along and I'm reading it and I turn the page and there's a dollar bill, usually as a book, sitting in my book. I stuck it in there and I forgot I left, a $100 bill in my book. So now I'm carrying two things. That would be permitted because the coin, the money is incidental to the book. I want to read the book, right? I want to read the book. The money is just incidentally there. So actually we have the same case. You have a book with money in it. In one case, it would be forbidden because I did it for the money. In the other case, I did it for the book, it would be permitted. And those are both, again, min HaTzad, which is, we're going to say is forbidden to do min HaTzad when the thing that I want is Mukzeh. But when the thing that I want is Mukzeh, like a coin, I am allowed to push it b'shinui, b'klachar yad. One more case is, sorry, we're a little bit over. One more case I want to talk about was, what about if your refrigerator light is on? How can you open your refrigerator door? Say, well, that's not a question of Mukzeh. It could be a question of Mukzeh. Because one solution, or Moshe Feinstein says, is wait till the engine is off and unplug it. It'll stay cool. Let's say it's Shabbat morning. It'll stay cool until Motzei Shabbat. Unplug it. Now you can take the food out and close it again. But of course, you have to wait till the engine is off. Now, on that case, he says, but when you unplug it, don't unplug it with your hand and not even with a shinui. He says, get a child to pull it out. Now, why doesn't he say, do it with a shinui? I mean, I don't know how you would pull it out with a shinui. It's kind of hard to pull it out with a shinui. Maybe that's why he said to get a child. I think he says specifically, don't do it with a shinui, use a child. Why? Do we have the tools to answer that question? With your toes, yeah. Because in other words, do I need the plug? Do I need the plug? I don't need the plug. It's just allowing me to do something else. I don't want the plug on the floor. It's not a tzorach Shabbat. It's not, well, actually, according to the Rif, it might be permitted because it's a tzorach Shabbat. According to Tosfot, I'm only allowed to do a shinui. Well, why can't I? To think about it. Why is that different from pushing the coin with a shinui? You see, here I actually want the Mukzeh thing, the cord, to be on the floor. I want to move it from its place. It's Sarek Makomo. I don't know what to think about it. Reb Moshe says use a child. It's an interesting case to think about. Why is that not a normal case of Mukzeh, and that should be allowed to be done with a shinui? I don't know what the shinui would be. Maybe using pliers to pull it out instead of your hands.
And what if you don't have a child handy? And you're in a...
You obviously don't...
Use a loaf of bread.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, guys.
Or a dead body.
Use a dead body. Hopefully there shouldn't be any dead bodies. Anyway, so that's interesting. I think a discussion about Tiltul min HaTzad, some of the parameters. Maybe if we have time next week, I'll give you some. We'll look at some of the. I have a few places in the Shulchan Aruch I wanted to look at. Okay, guys. So Laila Tov, thank you very much.
Lots of help, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy time change.